Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us on this Monday, the 22nd of July. I'm back from my trip around half the country. And I don't say that for any other reason to tell people we are not giving you armchair advice. I've been asked to go and attend with two men in Alice Springs, and we did the job. I'm going to talk about that tonight. I'm going to talk about possibly one of the most important cases I have done in a long time, and that is what we did in the family law court, the worst court in this country, last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of last week in Adelaide. What does that mean to you? Because it does mean everything to a lot of people in this country right now. I had to come back to Melbourne on Wednesday night because I promised two of our members, two people who trust and believe and support me in what I'm doing. I was there at the Broadmeadows Law Court, and I did a short little clip. It was raining, it was cold, it was miserable, to demonstrate we don't just give you some paperwork and hope she'll be right, mate, and it'll be okay. We got everything we wanted because we fight. We fight for everybody who's not supporting us, who's outside of this video, and they like playing their thumb hockey and watching other groups who don't do court. So let me just recap what this means. Since I've made the post last week, since I did a recording with four men, Steve, who was in the courtroom, two elders, or one man was an elder and one was a witness who lives in Alice Springs as well. Then there was Chris, who was going into court on the Wednesday. When I could not stay in Alice Springs, I had to come back to Adelaide because my scheduling is that I get doubled up all the time. We had an open discussion, just a casual talk with these four men who heard and saw what Steve was trying to do in the courtroom to bring in the question the judges and justices and from every level of the court system cannot touch. This is toxic. This is kryptonite to Superman. This is literally the judges can't go there. And we have got permission from Craig Oldroyd to use this documentation in our court cases, which we did. Two cases in Alice Springs in the Northern Territory, the Federal Court of Australia, which was in the Family Law Court Division in Adelaide. Then we had two more court cases in a magistrate's court in Melbourne. We did this, 5 court cases, 4 days. 5. I'm not sure many lawyers would even bother to do anything like that. That was because the people who I was supporting trust us. This is everything to me. These people said, we want you here. And I was there. And I stood by them every step. Now, I'm talking about people who've heard that messaging last week, and we're getting phone calls from people who've never heard of us before. Now I know there are people out there who are hearing our message. What I'm saying every week, ignorance requires payment. And those people are mentioning those 3 words. We're not trying to be something that we're not. We're not here to say we've been winning cases for 25 plus years, but we don't go to court. We don't go to court, but we've won cases. And I said, show me one case that they've won, and they can't answer any questions. I'm showing to you, we are fighting for men who have been accused of things that they didn't do to go to jail for 7 years, and we're stopping it. We are showing people of people who've done stories, court cases, where they didn't do anything wrong, and they were going to get a criminal conviction because they didn't show a driver's license. That's called communism. When you haven't broken the law and a policeman stops you and say, if you don't do this, we're going to arrest you and lock you up. And they did. They locked up Steve for 4.5 hours, left his car on the side of the road with all of his tools of his trade, uncovered, unprotected. They just said they put him in handcuffs and they locked him up. He said, I'm not complying because I didn't break a law. And he didn't. He didn't speed. He blew zero on a breathalyzer. Did nothing wrong. Chris, he went in on the Wednesday last week against his counsel. His dog protected his property. And an idiot complained to the council, and the council said, oh, $3,000. For what? Because the councils have gone out of control. As we're speaking right now, there is a couple living on a property in central Victoria, and I'm waiting to get their phone call because they can't get a lot of good service on their property. They have to go to a certain point to get a message out on their phones, and they're happy with that. And I said, that's great. And they have been threatened by their neighbor who complained to the council, who wants to come in and snoop around to say, how many permits did you actually pay for? I've got the video of a guy who filled in a hole where a tree fell over. Long story short, the council dragged him into court, intimidated him, questioned him, and gave him an $11,000 fine. Because they can't have people filling in holes, because that's the council's job. So they charged him $11,000. Ladies and gentlemen, this hasn't started. Why? Because it's called the New World Order. It hasn't started. If you think you can keep your nose clean and keep your hands clean and you can just stay under the radar, you don't understand. You're not going to get away from this by trying to keep your hands clean. This man on that Channel 9 program, A Current Affair, had to ask somebody which show, because it's a show. Even the reporter couldn't work out what the drama was to fill in a gaping big hole by a tree that fell over in the wind, and the council did nothing for 6 months. And they still wanted to charge him. If you don't get this, and it comes to you, you're going to be scratching and reaching to say, who can help me? I don't understand. And there's a lot of Aussies who don't care, and they don't want to understand, and they're going to get driven over by a steamroller. I'm going to talk about these questions tonight because this is what we do. We are here for your protection. Because in a courthouse, no fact or law shall be tried in court. That took me a long time to do that. No fact or law shall be tried in court. And people say, what do you mean? We don't have courts in Australia. We don't have judges or justices. We don't have barristers. Oh, is that why Julian doesn't want to speak to me when I bumped into him in Alice Springs? Because he can't answer one question. And the people who know me and the people who listen to me on Monday nights know what that question is. One question. You rip up all the BS about them being above us, and you only have to tear down these people with one question. Persons, I should say. It bothers me to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I can't talk to my sister because she doesn't like what I'm doing, and she's a lawyer. My sister and I cannot talk. This bothers me on a personal level, but I have to tell you the truth. We don't have judges or lawyers or barristers or prosecutors in Australia. And I'm going to bash it down every day until people get no fact or law shall be tried in court. What do? They do arguing. It's opinion. It's a commentary. All looks nice. All the fruit salad on the walls, and that's all it is. What fruit salad? The logos and the imagery, and there's no kings. There's no authority. It's all BS. This is where I bring in Shane and his good friend Alan, who has trusted me and his wife to fight tooth and nail. He's not going to go to jail for driving somebody else's car. And Alan and Bronwyn were in the courtroom and they heard this judge saying, I'm a federal court judge. I don't need to do anything with that kangaroo above my head. I'm a judge. I'm the ruler of the world. That's my ad lib. And they sat there and they took their notes. This judge says he does not need to recognize or respect the Indigenous men and women who we are fighting with. We just haven't worked out how to come together and get the job done. Get the job done. We can't do it. I've tried. I'm fighting and I look over my shoulder and there's no one there. But we're fighting. And one day, when more people suffer more pain, they're going to say, damn, how do we get in touch with that guy? Because that's what they call me, that guy. My mum would be so proud. You got to this age in your life and they call you that guy. And this is where I say thank you to Simone, because she actually made a t-shirt. Now, because we're trying to fight, and we're the only ones fighting for our country, I have got no support from corporations, and I don't want them. I get no support from any big backers. I don't hand out a hat. I am supported to doing this work from people who are putting together their subscription and their memberships to keep me online. I'm going to explain this tonight. You don't understand. When you support me, you're keeping me open to going to fight for all of us from losing everything before bleep hits the fan. I'm really trying hard to keep this under control right now, because I got a phone call from a man. He married a woman from another country. She's got a residency, but she's not a citizen. Guess what the court wants to do? The family law court in Brisbane wants to transfer his assets to a resident, because that's what they want to do, is to break everybody. He's paid a lot of money in legal fees. Then the registrar said, you've got a property in this woman's country. We're going to give it to that woman. What? A registrar, a punk, underline, punk registrar, not a lawyer, not qualified. He said to this man, you've got a property in this country and we're going to give it to this lady. She's not she's only a resident, which means she's got status to stay here, but she's not a citizen. If you didn't understand what I said, join our meeting. If you do understand what I just said, this is how woke the courts have become. You can't protect your own home. When a registrar can say you can lose a property you paid for in another country. I've beaten the system in Brisbane, in the Federal Court of Australia, when a judge said, oh, there's an asset in a South Pacific island country. I said, when did we take over that country? Because they're a member of the Commonwealth in 1980. There's your clue. What did you mean? You can't touch the property in the South Pacific island, which is a member of the Commonwealth of Nations under the King of England. Which document do you have to have authority over another country? Bang. Case over. What? Judges are making decisions for other countries? Yes. Judges are taking people's houses in Adelaide? Yes. Oh, but oh, sorry, I nearly got it out. Well, you heard it anyway. The National Australia Bank can't provide a mortgage because they sold it. I've got it in a book. But the judge said, I said, we have no judges. We have no judges. They're employees for the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, which trades your birth certificate. How many more years do I need to say the same message over and over and over to say you don't have judges in Australia? Oh, but the three-letter process. And I said, yeah, and how did it work for you? Oh, I'm being sued now. So it didn't work for you. Yeah, right. We don't do three-letter processes because a letter is shit. Excuse my French. In a courtroom, we do our paperwork. If you do not have jurisdiction, this is coram non judice. That's Latin for court without jurisdiction. But I'm a judge. I'm a respectable judge in the federal court. No, you're not the moment you break the law. How do you break the law? Did you pay for the kangaroo and emu above your head? Oh, we don't need to pay anything. Yes, you do, because it's in the hallway. You pay respects to the traditional owners of this land. I've got the picture. Oh crap, you found out. Yeah, we do our research and we fight. But there are too many idiots out there thinking, oh, we can make some money out of this by going to court and say we're this at law and we it's all fiction. You can't be a three-word thing and say that you do law, because that means he's acting like a corporation he's there for the money. Because I get the phone calls that he can't go to court. I was in court in three different jurisdictions: Northern Territory, South Australia, which is in the Australian Federal Court, and a Broadmeadows Magistrates Court in the space of 4 days. So I know what's going on, and I'll stand up and fight. And I said to the magistrate, not even a magistrate, a registrar on Thursday, magistrate, may I add one piece? And she said, what is it? I said, I can give you the court case in Adelaide this afternoon. She said, oh, that would be lovely. We're going to adjourn for 2.5 months. So she said, and we're going to get the recording, because that's what we do. We're thorough. We know what we're doing. She said, are you telling me I have no authority in this courtroom until we can get an answer from the Federal Court of Australia who owns the kangaroo over my shoulder? Correct. And she said, well, I have to adjourn for 2.5 months. Bingo. That's a full house. We got her on record. We got the kangaroo above her shoulder in Victoria, which applies to New South Wales and Western Australia and Northern Territory. What about the other 3 states? South Australia's got a piping shrike or a butcher bird. Queensland's got a brolga. Tasmania's got the Tasmanian tiger. All registered by the Indigenous men and women and the traditional elders. They registered it. It's property. It's owned. Like a McDonald's logo is owned. It's property. You can't copy it. Does that mean it's all fraud? Correct. Whoever said that, correct. Can you open up a shop and say, I like that M logo because it's nice and simple? You see how quickly you're going to get slapped a lawsuit if you copy the McDonald's or any other company logo and whack it up on your shop. But we're not taking enough respect. We've got the gift. We've got the paperwork. And Craig has given me permission to put that paperwork he's trusted me with, knowing what I do, into every court case. We're going to fight. Because I haven't even told you 20%. I haven't told you the whole story. But Alan and Shane do. Margarita and Daniel in Melbourne mostly know, but not quite the whole picture. But Steve and Chris in the Alice, they know. They know what we're going to do next. They know why I had to leave Alice Springs on a Tuesday before Chris went to court and fly down to Adelaide to get the job done in the Federal Court of Australia. And we did. We charged a federal court judge. But Derek's going to get you into trouble if you go and list with Derek. Don't go to Derek because you're going to get arrested and charged and all that sort of... No, judges get charged. They never have ever, ever, ever touched me on the shoulder and said, can you put your hands behind your back? Never. Other people have, because I know how to fight back. I know how to say one sentence. I'm going to take your house if you don't step back because you're wearing something. You're wearing something. And sheriffs in Adelaide have stepped back. I had 11 sheriffs, 11 ready to arrest me. I said, if you don't stand down and back down, I'm taking your house. Guess what they did? They all took a step back. I said, you've got the same problem as Judge Bochner, who steals houses. And I can't get any support in South Australia to say no more because we all want to play thumb hockey. I've done it. To prove a point, I will stand up and fight. But sometimes it's bloody hard when there's not enough help in other court cases to finish that job. I've got a man and his wife who are facing National Bank this coming week to steal their property. I've just got in contact with them. He's going to give me his story and we're going to fight. But I wonder if anybody else in South Australia is going to hear this message because this is happening in Adelaide. I've got another man in Brisbane where a registrar has said your property in that other country where your wife comes from, we're going to give that property to your wife. It's not his ability to give anything away. Oh, but Derek, don't bother me. My head is exploding. I can't cope. The pain, the pressure. I can't cope. Just let me watch my rugby. Those people are going to be trampled on by a steamroller. The ones that are ignoring what I'm trying to say. You need to get this. You need to get this. I'm not giving up on this fight until I can find that 1,000 patriots, men and women who love our country for our children because they have no future. It's gone. You want to keep your money in an Australian bank? It's gone. It's gone. Why? Because we're having a digital ID on the 1st of December. They just have to get past the US presidential elections now that Biden has officially, on 2 different sources, stepped down. That's good, isn't it? Trump's going to win. I have a different point of view. You think Trump's your savior? He's got the backing of Wall Street. If he's got the backing of Wall Street, he's got the nod from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. But he's a good guy, isn't he? That's your choice. But don't you like him? I didn't say that. I said he's not your savior. Australia does not have a savior. We don't have anybody to fight for our country. We have no politicians. So what are you saying? I said, prepare and be aware. Our circle, call me. I need to know how to protect my family's money. Sorry, my family's cash. Because cash is disappearing. You know that, don't you? You've already got that covered. The cash that you think you have now is going to disappear. More and more and more banks are going to take out their ATMs. You watch. They're going to disappear. The ATMs will become extinct. Hundreds of millions of dollars in technology are going to be trashed because you're going to have a digital currency. Our circle, we are protected because we don't have a problem because our money is protected by a gold-backed bank. And the door is very close to closing forever. You think you own your home. I've told you, we've got the affidavit from the ANZ Bank. All these other idiots, I'm going to say what I feel. Oh, we're going to replicate your digital certificate and make our own Photoshop with Microsoft and give you a new certificate. It doesn't matter. It only matters if that digital certificate number is on a digital ID wallet. And there are people making money to get your number and make up their own certificate on Microsoft. Oh, hold on. The same company where we had an outage and every bank and all the airlines and all the supermarkets couldn't transact. The same company. And you want to think that you're going to be able to protect it with a Microsoft copy? We've been sleeping. I can't replicate the story, but Chris actually gave me a beautiful little story to actually to underline what's going on. We are on a train track, and we don't know what's at the end of the line. These two steel tracks are running side by side, and they never touch. We're inside those two tram tracks. We're being taken down this train to something we never voted for because no one gives a crap in this country about digital IDs or misinformation laws or taking away your property rights and taking away your right to vote in a democratic election. No one cares. And what's sitting underneath the tram tracks? They're called sleepers. And the way he explained it to me, he said, we are the base underneath the tram tracks. We are the sleepers holding the tram tracks for this train run by a corporation down to this road, which is going to trap us and put us into slavery. I said, oh my gosh, if I could just remember how you got that story out. We are the sleepers underneath the tram tracks, dragged down this road of a digital ID, central bank digital currency. You don't own your house, you don't have a democratic vote, and you have nothing to say. And if you don't take the next jab, when we have the next pandemic, which they're planning on, it's everywhere, you are going to be called anti-government, anti-taxation, anti-mandate, anti-vax, and you're going to be called a sovereign citizen. I heard it from Eric's and Serena's court case, the magistrate saying, we can't have these sovereign citizen signs on a property. You don't know what a sovereign citizen sign looks like, do you? That's what the judges and magistrates are talking about us. We're sovereign citizens. I'm the only one in Australia fighting to teach people you are not a sovereign citizen because you have to be a moron. And if you're a moron, you have an IQ less than 20, which legally makes you an idiot. Gee, that's a big mouthful. There it is. The LexisNexis Concise Australian Legal Dictionary, 6th edition. A legal idiot has an IQ less than 20. That's why we actually have fun with these lawyers, these barristers. You must have an IQ less than 20 to call me a sovereign citizen because you must be an idiot. And guess what they do? They shut their mouth. Case over. A lot of friends who do give a damn have called me and said, Derek, you've got to take a breath. You've got to calm down when you do these recordings. I said, okay, I'll try. It bugs me when I hear women sleeping in cars in the colder winter because they've lost their house they didn't know. It bugs me when a man is on the breaking point of losing his business because he can't keep up with all the costs and expenses, which means he's going to lose his home, which is security for the business, which means his family are going to be homeless. It bothers me when I hear people trying to sell a PMA for $5,000 and they've never said it works in a courtroom because there's no court cases to back it up, but they're making it because it's a business. We're going to pay because ignorance requires payment. I can't do the three. Ignorance requires payment. And now I have two different types of person or people in my groups that I talk about. The people who get that statement and they say, we're not interested anymore. We don't want to be ignorant. I said, good, stay connected. Stay connected, because the people who don't know, or people who don't want to come and listen to what I have to share, they will stay ignorant. And when it hits them in the face, it's too late. Too late. There are people trying to sell you living in the private. Those people will be accountable very soon. The only way you can live in the private is to cut up your bank account, close it down, give back your driver's license, not just cut it up, give it back and say, cancel my driver's license. If you are connected to Services Australia, is cut up your Services Australia account, which trades your birth certificate anyway, and cut up your bank cards, your memberships, your communication with your electricity, your gas company, your water company, your council rates, which is a fraud, and go live 1,000 kilometers west of Adelaide, sorry, not Adelaide, Alice Springs, and find a rock and bury yourself in a hole. That's the only way you can live in the private. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to do that. I don't have the skills to live off the land. You can't live in the private and keep your driver's license, keep your bank account, keep your accounts going to keep your house and the lights open, and some living in the private. You are going onto a rugby league field with a soccer ball, with the rugby posts and a rugby umpire, and saying, I want to play soccer. And they're going to say, who the hell are you? You're going onto their territory and you're trying to say, I want you to play my rules, but you're going onto their territory with their rules. I think that's immoral, to take advantage of weak and vulnerable people and say, we'll teach you, if you pay us some money, to live in the private. It's immoral. Just like there's another crowd who are taking just under $1,000 to put your house in a royal registry without a royal warrant from the King of England. I'll say that again. It's immoral. It's theft to steal money from people and say, we've got a royal registry, but we don't have a royal warrant from the King of England to use the word royal. How do you know that? Because I won 2 cases against the RSPCA. I said, where's your royal warrant to use R in RSPCA? Judge, we're going to withdraw the case. Over. See, I do my research. These other people watch videos and they say, oh, look, I saw this on YouTube. More people are going to have to suffer because they're getting fed horseshit about this stuff about, oh, I'm a warrior. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to sell you a PMA. I'm going to sell you a living in the private. Because you know why I'm saying this? Because I get the phone calls. I get the phone calls. Derek, they're going to stay at my house, but this guy won't come to court with me. I said, why did you listen to him? Because it sounded good. It sounded impressive. I said, ask him how many court cases he's won and ask for a case number. Crickets. Nothing happens after that. Nothing happens. What I'm trying to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not doing this to make money. There were times I was on the verge of closing up and just going up and doing something else. But I kept on getting the phone calls. Small businesses mainly, who are being destroyed. I'm not any better than any of you. The only difference, I get a lot of phone calls of people telling me they're going to lose everything because the system is broken. And I have to go and try and find a way through. And it's not easy when we don't have any support. So I do have a $200 annual subscription, which doesn't cover my costs to hold videos and to do Monday night. I used to do 5 nights a week. 5 different subjects. And my costs were going through the roof. I have to pay Zoom. I have to pay for a place to put down all my documents, and I have to pay money to send out bulk email. Because when you've got 10,000 people following you, that's a lot of money, each money, just to send an email. Phone's going off. I've got two phones. I've got to wind this up. I'm going to explain why those two men and their court cases are so important in Alice Springs, and the support from Craig Oldroyd, who gave me the documentation to continue the fight. I'm going to explain to you about Shane and his friend Alan, who you've heard me talking about, Alan, who dropped the clanger, who dropped the hand grenade in the lap of a district court judge. And his answer to this question: Judge, I want the King's Counsel barrister to answer one question. Does he have an oath of allegiance or an oath of office? The judge said, I decline to answer your question, sitting underneath a beautiful big 1 meter by 1 meter tapestry of the King's royal seal with the imperial crown, the lion, and the unicorn. I decline to answer your question if we have an oath of allegiance or an oath of office. The King's Counsel barrister left the court case after that hearing. He left. Hold on. He's meant to be the top of the tree of the legal system. Bullshit. We don't have King's Counsels in this country. They're con men dressed in black. I will stand up to any lawyer and ask them one question: when did you do your oath of allegiance? And they won't be able to speak. That's what I do. I'm just looking for 1,000 men and women who love our country before it collapses. 1,000, not 50,000. I know there are other people on social media that they're idolized because they poke the police. And I've actually asked one of them, do you know any one of the people who follow you? What do you mean? Do you speak to any one of your followers? No. I've got thousands of people. Look at that phone while I did that call, like this call. Only 4 people are trying to leave me messages. When people reach out and they send an email to the address underneath this screen, they go into my phone and I put a note. Bank problem, council problem, police problem, family law court problem. I've got a couple of words to connect. I actually know and speak to people. I've got people, I don't know what they look like, but I can actually tell you a little bit about their problems. I've got people on social media sucking up the oxygen and saying, look at me, and they won't help one other person in Australia. It's your call. I'm not doing this for celebrity. I'm not doing this to say I'm a freedom fighter, because that's an oxymoron. Because they don't fight for freedom and they're not fighting. They don't fight anywhere. They just make a lot of noise at a rally. Prove me wrong. That's why I'm not in that club. Because John Wilson in Sydney said they've all been infiltrated. All of them. They can't infiltrate me because I poke back and I say, we've got the Prime Minister to help us win in court. The Prime Minister. Albo, yep. I've got a question which has taken me a while to do, and now I get it. No judge or magistrate in this country can answer my question regarding Albo. So it's your call, it's your choice. You know people who are suffering and they can't pay their mortgages. You know people who can't pay their council rates and the council's about to take them to court and take their property to get their council rates because we don't have councils anymore. You know people with 5 tickets and they can't pay thousands of dollars in fines. We are not interested in the fine. We are not interested in the amount of council rates or the mortgage. We're not interested. We're interested in saying to the company, where did you get your authority from? Well, we got the courts. We paid the judges. We don't care how much you pay the judges. You're now going to be arrested for international copyright. We don't look at the fine. We look at where the other side gets their authority to sue you in a court. I'm not doing this because I'm bored. I'm not doing this because it's fun. I'm not doing this for the money. Other people are, because they're not there to fight for anybody, because when it goes to court, they're not there. I'm going to be at the Melbourne Magistrates Court between 9 and 9:30, maybe closer to 9 a.m., William Street, Melbourne. Tony is going in there on his first hearing. We're going to have half a dozen people, I believe, from so far what I've been asked. People who've heard me saying, we want to be there. We want to meet you because we've got our own issues with councils, banks, and other organizations like this. I said, they don't exist. Yes, they do. It's a bank. This bank, they're a corporation. I said, yeah, they're a corporation, but they don't exist. Why? Well, because they can't go into a courthouse and ask for us to stand under the laws when there's a kangaroo on the back wall. What? Kangaroos? What's that got to do with anything? Everything. We did this in Adelaide. I'll explain to you tonight. Monday, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. That's Brisbane, Sydney, Canberra, Melbourne, Hobart. The whole East Coast is now on the one time zone. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Half an hour in arrears for Northern Territory and South Australia, 2 hours in arrears for Western Australia. I'm going to try and make it as clear and straight as I can. We're the only group in Australia which we are showing you, if we can't expose the corruption now, we're going to go into a hell. What hell? That's pretty strong language. I can't use any other language. It's called the digital ID. It's passed. It's a law. It's going to commence on the 1st of December. And I was the first one to start talking about it before everyone, let's talk about the digital ID. Let's use our cash to try to make sure that they have to deal with cash. It's gone. You can use all your cash as much as you want. It's gone. At the end of this year, they're going to say, if you don't have a digital ID, you can't prove you have a house. You can't prove you have a car. You can't prove you have a job. You can't prove you have a bank account. And for all those people who are misguided, believing they can put their gold and silver coins and their bullion bars in a deep hole in their backyard, if you don't declare it onto the digital ID, there will come a point it'll be worthless. That's the whole point of a digital ID. Your driver's license, bank account, passport, birth certificate, bank accounts, superannuation, investments, investment properties, gold, silver, palladium, crypto. If you don't declare it onto the digital ID, it won't exist when they bring down the next stage, a central bank digital currency. I've been banging on about this for a year and a half because the law behind the digital ID law is broken, but no one gives a crap. You're going to learn the hard way. But the people who are listening to what I'm saying, backed up by a guarantee, the money's protected by and backed by gold, and you'll be given an encrypted mobile and an encrypted laptop with your international card you can use anywhere that you can pay with a card now. Our group is not going to feel the pain. What pain? Hyperinflation. I'm the first one to mention that. Hyperinflation. I spent $75 for 4 items in Woolworths yesterday. I said, I'm getting some stuff to have breakfast and some very basic things. $75. If you don't think we are suffering hyperinflation now, you don't understand. Do you think petrol's going to stay at around just about a little below, a little bit above $2 a litre? I can tell you from a farmer in southern New South Wales that his local distributor of fuel said, don't discount the idea of $4 a litre petrol by Christmas. This man is a company man who sells and distributes fuel to the southern part of New South Wales. $4 a litre. 4. So you got your big four-wheel drive. It's going to cost you $250 to fill the tank. $250 to fill the tank. I'm just picking a number, but you won't get any change out of $250 to fill it. You think that's a joke? I'm just looking for 1,000 people who give a damn. 1,000 patriots. I'm talking about this tonight because it's all happening. Biden has stepped down officially on 2 sources, and one I highly respect because of the information that they share. And they're not connected to any billionaires. They're not owned by anybody. They are subscription driven, which means they're independent, like we are. We are doing this on the smell of an oily rag. And without our subscribers and members who trust what I'm doing, we'd have to stop. I don't sell anything. I don't advertise for companies. Everything I'm doing now is to tell you what we're doing. My Monday night, it costs me money, literally costs me money to go and do the meeting and then pay for Zoom to do that meeting. It costs me money. My subscribers fund me to do this. And I have no problem to say that. We don't do rallies. We don't do town hall meetings to say, hey, look at this. I've got this new way of doing it. Follow me. Can you give me some money? We actually go and fight in the court. And I will be tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, William Street, at the Magistrates Court. I'll be outside underneath the Kangaroo and the Crown, above underneath the Melbourne Magistrates Court sign. I'm going to report after we finish, because Tony's going in and he's not going to make a plea. He's going to say, I can't make a plea until the prosecutor tells me he's paid for the Kangaroo. We mean it. I've tested this in 4 states and 1 territory. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your call. It's your choice what you do next. I'm putting this out on all of our platforms to tell people what we're trying to do here is to wake up Australians before it gets hard. If you do what is easy, your life is going to get much harder. How do I know that? Because I've seen people who've come to our meetings. They said, oh, but this guy's over here's got living in the private. And this one's trying to sell me a PMA. And then they get in the court and they get treated like a sovereign citizen in the opening 20 seconds because you're anti-government. That's an expression to mean what's going to happen next. For people who are Italian background, you might have a bit more an idea what I'm trying to say. Italian, yep. That's an expression. It's a point. You're going to get it. The moment they drop the clanger, you must be a sovereign citizen. It's over for you. We are going to smash the sovereign citizen point on the 14th of August at the Wodonga Law Court, and we're going to charge a number of these people in uniform. Why? Because they're lying. They're lying, and I don't tolerate this anymore. They're lying. Have yourselves a wonderful afternoon. It's Monday. I've got calls to make. I've got people to get ready for court tomorrow in Melbourne and Sydney. Downing Centre. I'm confirming that the date is still on for Thursday. So if you're in Sydney and you want to catch up with our friend, let me know. Drop a message that you're in Sydney. You'd like to catch up with our member going to court on in the Downing Centre. I think is Liverpool Street in Sydney. And tomorrow morning, Tony is going to go into the Melbourne Magistrates Court in William Street in Melbourne. All you have to do is take a note of this email address underneath this video and send us a message. Because the day after we do our Monday night meetings, my email inbox spikes. It spikes because everybody who doesn't turn up and they want to watch that cooking program or that home improvement show how to fix your toilet, or Farmer Wants a Wife, or whatever junk they have on TV, they say, can we get the free stuff? I said, I can't give it to you because you don't understand. Did you turn up? No. Well, watch the video first. Watch the video first. Every Tuesday afternoon, it goes up on Rumble and BitChute. If you don't get what I'm trying to say, you won't understand the paperwork. I'm not doing this for a joke. A lady, I helped her to smash her court case. I mean, they took it off the internet before she got out of the courtroom. Mentioned this name she had for some time. Educate for protection. That's what I'm trying to say to people. But this is not a business. We are doing something extraordinary to try and show to people this is about you understanding what's going to happen next. We've never been here before. We are standing behind our words. We're here to educate you, to protect you because of what's going to happen this year. Everything is going to be under control until the US presidential elections. But 1 month before that, in the month of October, Victoria is going to revalidate local government, which is a fraud. I'm not going to vote. 1 month earlier, in September, New South Wales is going to go to revalidate local government. But I've got a court case in Sydney. There is no local government, and we've proven it from the Parliament House. But most people won't care. They just want to play thumb hockey, go home, watch TV, and twitch their brains off. It's all happening. It's all happening from now until December 1. Everything is going to change. Thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with me all this time. I really appreciate it. If you have any comments, send us an email. Until we see you tomorrow from the Melbourne Magistrates Court. Have a wonderful afternoon. I mean it. Be careful. Be safe until we see you again. If not, 7:30 Monday nights, every Monday night, you go to my webpage, educateforprotection.website, and there's a link. You click the link and you go straight through. If you can't get there, send us an email to the address below this video. Take care and bye for now.